Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm Jaquan,
I'm Jasmine.
and welcome to the Film Spill.
So today, guys, we're going to be reviewing Deadpool and Wolverine. This is an action comedy movie, and here is the summary. Deadpool's peaceful existence comes crashing down when the Time Variance Authority recruits him to help safeguard the multiverse. He soon unites with his would-be pal Wolverine to complete the mission and save his world from an existential threat.
Yeah, so when they said that they was coming out with this movie, people automatically started, dubbing it as the savior of the MCU because recently with the multiverse saga, it's been horrible. So people have been dubbing Deadpool and Wolverine as the savior. And I have to say, I think it did an amazing job. Let's get into my rating. The rating I gave this show is going to be a 4. Let's get into my pros and my cons. All right, so very first pro, Marvel finally listened and gave their fans what they wanted, especially with the casting for certain characters. I feel like Marvel kind of do this thing where like they just kind of go off the rails, specifically in this multiverse saga. They just kind of just stopped following their blueprint and just were doing whatever the hell they wanted to. And I think they started listening to their fans and be like, all right, let me make sure that we do like not only just like comic book accurate movies moving forward, but just picking right characters. And I think they did a good job with this one. Amazing action scenes. I'm not gonna get into too many action scenes because it was so many, but I would have to say some of my favorite action scenes was the fights between Deadpool and Wolverine, like all the fights that they had throughout the movie. I just feel like they really had some great chemistry with each other. I really enjoy all the cameos. I think the number one cameo that I love to see was Blade because like I just love Blade. If you guys don't know, Blade is actually considered to be the godfather of the MCU because without Blade movie, the MCU that we know it today wouldn't exist because Blade, the movie itself, generated a lot of income to actually kickstart what the MCU is today. So it was cool seeing Blade. It was definitely cool seeing Chris Evans reprise his role as Human Torch. That was dope. Elektra, just all of them for the most part, but definitely Blade for sure. I like that they connected this to things like Loki, so we was able to see B15 or B15, the TVA, the Void, and even Alive. If you watch the Loki series, you know those characters are on that show, so it was dope for us to kind of just see the connection from that show to the movie. I really enjoyed the chemistry between Deadpool and Wolverine. It's just like they just fit well so perfectly together. You know, you have Deadpool who's just like this maniac, he talks so much, and then you have Wolverine who's just like this stern, you know what I'm saying, no nonsense, very disciplined person. And they just, I don't know, they just fit well so perfectly together. And then it's like, even in the fight scene, just like they both are killing each other, but it's like they're not dying because they both have these regenerative, abilities. So it was just cool to just see them interact with each other. I think they did a good job. I like how they address real life stuff in the movie. So for example, they brought up Hugh Jackman divorce. So Hugh Jackman actually got a divorce in real life, and they actually brought it up to, I think when Deadpool was talking to Wolverine, he brought up the divorce situation.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I like how they talked about how he's coming into Marvel at a low point, right? Once again, like I said, and Marvel has been doing a lot of misses lately. So I like how they brought it in. And even, once again, talk about the multiverse, and he was just like, yeah, the multiverse hasn't been, good. So I just really like that whenever Deadpool breaks the fourth wall, like he talks about stuff that is really going on in the real world. I like Cassandra Nova's ability. They were creepy, but to me they were really dope. It just seemed like she was just like her brother Charles Xavier, but it was like you can tell she wasn't as strong, but she still had some of those abilities, so that was dope. I like how both Deadpool and Wolverine kind of got some redemption. If you pay attention to this movie, like she was saying, Deadpool was kind of going through these ups and downs as a character. He kind of was like lost in a sense, and then Wolverine, he definitely was just at the lowest because he was considered the worst Wolverine out of every universe. So they both kind of had the redemption arc. I like seeing all the other Deadpool variants that were dope. And I also really enjoyed the back and forth between Gambit and Deadpool. It was just hilarious because if you know Gambit, he has that southern dialect. I guess like it's like some French in it too. So Deadpool's like, what are you talking about? Like every time he was speaking, and I think the last pro is finally getting a chance to see Hugh Jackman wearing the actual Wolverine mask. When he slid that hood/mask on, it was just crazy. Like that was just so dope to see, just to actually finally see him wear the actual mask. All right, let's get into my cons. So biggest con was the story. Like you hear me say, even after the movie, I just really feel like the story itself wasn't that great because once again with Marvel, it's like I'm used to Marvel connecting their movies to the bigger story to whatever is like they're leading to, and I feel like most recently a lot of their stories are kind of been like standoff films or standoff stories, and I just feel like they just haven't been really working that well. And I feel like this movie just wasn't connected to the main center story of the MCU, and that kind of threw me off. Paradox was an op. I didn't like that they showed some cameos, but they didn't show a little bit more. I was kind of hoping to see Punisher. I really wish they would have showed Daredevil. You know, Ben Affleck Daredevil. I thought it was going to show a little bit more X-Men. Like we got a chance to see some X-Men villain, but not too many X-Men superheroes outside of Wolverine. I didn't like how besides the TVA, in my opinion, he really don't interact with the MCU that much. They talking to him about coming to the MCU. You see him see Hulk, Thor, you know, when Thor has him on the grind. So what's going on with that? Like Thor's holding me, he's crying. I thought he was going to interact a little bit more, but I know this is a starting point, so that's cool. And the last one was I just didn't like how they showed an end credit scene that didn't, once again, does not contribute to the story. It's like they've been doing this weird thing with these, like we're used to, and maybe it's our fault because they've been spoiling us this long with these end credit scenes. But yeah, I feel like the end credit scene was just pointless. But other than that, definitely dope movie. I recommend it.
Okay, guys, I give this movie a 3 out of 5. I think it was really funny in the beginning when Deadpool was trying to join the Avengers, and Happy kept saying "we." He was like referring to the Avengers like he was a part of it. It was really funny. I did like when Deadpool was traveling through the multiverse trying to find a Logan variant to save his timeline because it was just funny seeing all the different Logans.
Like Henry Cavill, you know, Superman, he was dressed up as Logan, but yeah.
There were definitely a lot of fight scenes like you talked about, and it was just way more interesting because they both could regenerate, so that was just funny. I like seeing the 20th Century Fox sign in the ground. Like you said, they added a bunch of like real life things to this movie. It was funny. It was interesting to find out Cassandra was Charles Xavier's twin. She looked just like him with that bald head, but like you were talking about,
why did they make her roll up in a wheelchair?
She started walking.
I'm like,
she just
why did she do that? I just thought about that. Like she literally rolled in the wheelchair and just jumped up.
Like you were talking about, I like seeing B-15 from the TVA and just like you said, just stuff from the series in the movies.
Yeah.
I really like how that connected. I like seeing Elektra, Blade, and Gambit. I really liked his accent. It was hard to understand him though, but it was just like a funny part though. I like seeing the different Deadpool variants, like you said. Like, how cute was that little baby? It was just so cute. But it was funny when they all stood up because they could regenerate. So it's like they just fought him.
Oh, and what's cool, right? So Lady Deadpool was actually Ryan Reynolds' wife. So Ryan Reynolds, who plays Deadpool, his real wife in real life, Blake Lively, she actually was Lady Deadpool. So that was actually dope. I just found that out. Yeah, the one who was walking. So that was cool how he put her in the film. Yeah.
Aww. The ending was very heartfelt for me, especially when Deadpool and Logan used their bodies as conductors and they were willing to sacrifice themselves. Like that was just like that whole ending where it's like they were going to sacrifice themselves and they were like redeeming themselves. Yeah. It was just really heartfelt. I feel like overall it was a really good movie, but the way they used the Logan variant from a different timeline, I just feel like I just didn't kind of care for that part because like we talked about before, I'm not emotionally connected to him as I was like the other Wolverine or whatever case may be, but they can just do endless movies and shows because they can use variants from anywhere. It doesn't matter. So that's just the only like real downside to it. But they did say that this movie set a record for the highest grossing opening debut for an R-rated film. It just came out 4 days ago, and so far it has grossed over $444 million worldwide.
And what did I said, what I tell you? And you said, I don't know if it's going to hit that. You might say
hit $1 billion.
It's already at $500 million, basically, in 4 days. Come on now. That's big. That's huge. But anyway.
And it's the 8th highest grossing film of 2024. So overall, it definitely was a good movie.
For sure. Definitely recommend it. And it's just interesting to see what they're going to continue to do moving forward, because Kevin Feige also brought up that this movie is actually the start of mutants in the MCU, because, Deadpool and Wolverine are basically, technically, they're both mutants. So he basically was like, when people keep asking him what's the next saga, which I believe is going to be the mutant saga, he basically was like, this is the start of it. So it's just going to be cool to see what they do moving forward. Like, I'm truly, truly excited because I love both of those characters. But just like always, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. You guys have a good one.